Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's time for our weekly recap of Real Housewives of Potomac. You know that we always do a revolving panel with Kempire Daily and Lailah Lynn TV or Media. Kempire is out. He's on vacation this week, but we do have some replacement dimples with us by the name of Tisa Tells. How are you, Tisa?
Hi, everybody. How are you doing? Grace, Lailah, thank you.
What's up, Tisa?
Of course. We always have such a good time when Tisa's around as well. So I'm really happy that you were able to do this. Thank you so much. And Lailah, how about you? How are you doing?
I'm doing good. You know, I have COVID, so it's been a lot, but I'm doing better. I'm doing better than I was.
I am so sorry. Well, last time you had something else, like some kind of virus, but it wasn't COVID. When did you get COVID?
It was misdiagnosed. That particular doctor, I did this service where you call a doctor to come to your home.
Yeah.
And so they don't run tests, like that. And so my daughter had tested negative for COVID like 2 weeks ago. So they didn't do a COVID test and they said it might be RSV.
Mm-hmm.
But then when I finally went to the doctor, because it's going on like 3 weeks now. So when I finally went to the doctor, that's when they said it actually is COVID.
Oh my God.
I guess my daughter tested negative at first, but she actually, we all actually did have COVID.
Mm-hmm. I'm so sorry to hear that. But let me tell you, this is the most gorgeous COVID positive women I've ever seen. You guys, as usual, at the top of this recap, we have to give a rating for the episode. So on a scale of 1 to 10, how did you rate last night's episode? We're going to start off with our guest of honor, Tisa.
Honestly, I actually thought this episode was a 10 out of 10. It was amusing. It infuriated me. It's 10 for evil.
Mm-hmm. Oh no, I think
so much.
So
it was a 10 out of 10 at the way that I was texting everybody and calling and being like, did you watch Potomac? So yeah, It was definitely a 10 out of 10.
I totally feel that. So I'm going to head over to Lailah next. But before, are you able to kind of beef up your connection a bit, Tisa? It's lagging. It freezes a bit. But while she works on that, Lailah, how would you rate the episode on a scale from 1 to 10?
Like a 2. A 2. I am so over the Green-Eyed Bandits. The way they're reacting to Mia versus the way they reacted to Monique, it's so it's such a turnoff. I'm almost over this show because it's disgusting to watch. So I'm gonna say a 2. That's the lowest I think I've ever given it. And I feel like it's a 2.
It absolutely is the lowest I've seen you give it. You know what's funny? I agree with you both. I think you're both right. I see why Tisa would give it a 10 because of the infuriating angles and stuff like that makes you want to talk to everybody about it, which is what they want. And then I see why you can give it a 2, which is that those infuriating parts can be a little bit too much on the other side. I personally have to say that I would give it maybe an 8, 7, 8. I think. Yeah, I feel
you liked it.
I did, but you know what it is? I think it's the fact that we now see clear as day. There's no getting around the fact that Giselle and Robin are incredibly biased. They have no integrity or anything like that. They only stand on the side of people that they like. Last year, anti-violence. This year, it's all good. You know what I mean? There's no denying it anymore.
Yeah. I think Charisse is in that same boat. I think we can say Giselle, Robin, and Charisse are like that. They're only on the side of the people that they like.
Exactly. And I feel like that really came through. And Robin's personality as well. I don't know if you guys in the chat have been paying attention to Twitter, but I feel like Robin has almost been getting even more heat than Mia herself, who was slinging the water and the purse. Did you notice that, Lailah?
Yeah, but it's almost like I feel like she deserves just as much heat. Because Mia, obviously she was wrong for flinging the water at Wendy, but Robin was so involved in the situation. And at one point she told them to fight. She was like, if you're going to fight, fight. And I just feel like that's so dirty. You know what I mean? To do that. So I feel like she deserves what she's getting.
Oh, absolutely. And I've got the screenshot from that moment as well. Like a lot of people were incredibly disturbed by her whipping out that phone and everything. Like it honestly, she felt like a huge, huge bully that episode. Like I was truly disturbed by her behavior. I honestly was.
Yeah.
Oh my God. All right,
Yeah.
you guys, we've got so much to talk about when it comes to all that drama and stuff, but let's just kick it from the top. Let's get this going in order, okay? So at the very beginning, we're still stuck with this Michael and Ashley like divorce storyline. And this time her excuse for not buying a house and moving out is that the tenant or whoever is living in the current house, the owner, won't move out until July, but she wants to move in June. So she's going to withdraw her offer and hold out. Does that seem like a reasonable excuse to you?
Well, I'm glad you used the word excuse, because it did sound like an excuse. It sounded like a lie, basically. Like she didn't want the house for whatever reason. I don't know what she has going on, but it sounded like a lie to me. It didn't sound reasonable or believable, because it's only like a few weeks.
Well, that's the thing. Like the difference is a few weeks, and the home buying process takes months. Like to close, negotiate a close, go through the appraisals, go through the mortgage, like things. Like it takes a while. So if you're going to withdraw an offer that's already started, just to start over the process, she would not be in until August, September, in my opinion, at that point. So it did not add up from that perspective, right?
Yeah.
Now,
but we also don't know if Ashley understands that, because Ashley presents herself as intelligent and savvy, like financially savvy. But then we're slowly finding out that she's really not how she presents herself. So she may not realize that 3 weeks is like nothing when it comes to real estate. It's nothing.
Exactly. And I think you have a good point, because up until now, this whole time, she's been working with kind of like her babysitter or her handler. So she really does not know at that point, right? I think we've got Tisa coming back in here. So with Tisa pulling up, I have to ask you about Mia's friend. Why does this woman not walk around with toiletries? She has no deodorant, no toothbrush, no brush. What's that about?
Okay, so I have to tell you, I am that friend that when I go on vacation, I'm literally running to the airport. I feel her pain. I'm running to the airport, and I'm the first person that we get in the Uber. I'm like, can we stop at a CVS? Can we stop at a Walgreens? When we're checking into the hotel, I'm like, can you send a razor, toothbrush, the amenities from the hotel? I'm like, can you send them up to the room right now? So I feel her pain. My whole thing with Wendy is, yeah, she was annoying, but doesn't Wendy seem like that girl that you always read about? I never had a close friend like this, but you read about the way they try to embarrass you in front of other people. This has been your friend for 20 years. You know that she shares everything. Why are you putting her on blast saying you tried to use the razor that Gordon uses on his nether regions? I was like, literally. Look at Jacqueline's face. She's like, okay, Wendy. All right.
It is true. The producers really made sure that we knew that Mia was putting her friend on blast. This was not a private combo in their bedroom. Like we heard Ashley say, wow, they're loud.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I was just like, I get it. But as the friend that packs, it's like, I'll buy everything from CVS or I'll borrow it from my friends. I felt her pain. I just didn't know why Wendy, this is what I wanted to ask you guys, because you guys have been on it. I've been watching your coverage every week. Do you think that Wendy's starting this? Mia's starting this because she's such a liar. She doesn't want Jacqueline to like mess up any of her stories. So she's already trying to make Jacqueline seem, I don't know, not credible.
Ooh, good question. Lailah, what do you think?
I mean, it's possible. It's very possible. I just feel like Mia has some character flaws and some character issues, and she lacks character in some areas. And I do think she's one of those people that would bring a friend on the show and then embarrass them. I do think she's one of those people.
Yeah. I think that's what it came down to. It's one of those, I'm going to bring you on just so I can clown you and make you feel a little bit beneath me, because Mia thinks that she's really friends with these girls, but these girls, I don't think that they see her as a friend. So it was kind of like, I feel bad for you that you don't realize it. You're playing your real friend for people who don't even like you. It kind of felt.
Yeah. It makes you think the Green-Eyed Bandits, like, do they do like potions on people? Because so many people from the outside looking in, we're like, they don't like you. You're just like a lackey. And they are literally like doing what they can to kiss their rings. The only person that successfully infiltrated that became one, I think, is Ashley. That's the only one that they look at as like, okay, Ashley's cool.
But why Ashley? Why Ashley?
I was just about to say
that little circle.
People have a lot of hypotheses as to why that is, that Ashley, who heavily came from Robin, might I add.
Yeah.
You guys, we already have some super chats coming in. Thank you all so much for supporting the channel. Petrine says, Wendy's comment at the end of the episode was big facts. Robin and Giselle excusing Mia's violence, but weren't okay with Monique's. All of their behavior this episode screamed colorist and hypocrites. Listen, it's ugly right now. It truly is ugly. And it's absolutely true that Wendy spoke nothing but facts. They were being hypocrites in that moment. Thank you. Thank you so much, Goddess Isis. Goddess Isis says, the only highlight of this mess was that that Matrix edit. I was not ready. Now back to being bothered. Wendy is better than me. I'm somewhere between a 2 and a 10 for the episode. So you guys, you were both right. Like I said.
It's 10. But I want to ask you guys something else too. Like the fact you guys know with Johns Hopkins University, how is it that Robin, Giselle, and even Ashley, and throw Mia in there because Mia's been fired from her company job, so she's unemployed too. You are a professor for Johns Hopkins University, the youngest and the first Black woman professor. Johns Hopkins is number 7 out of all the universities in America. It has international acclaim. She also works for CNN, Fox, and Eddie is a lawyer for a huge law firm. And they may combine more than all 4 of them combined. And they're just trying to act like Wendy's broke selling candles. I'm like, where does the math add up? It's weird.
Honestly, my thing is, I don't understand why someone of Wendy's caliber would even do the show. Like the fact that Johns Hopkins had to put, or maybe Bravo, whichever one decided to put up that disclaimer that they're not associated with this. I was like, that would be disgraceful to me as an academic in my career. Like, I feel like that's really embarrassing walking in the campus and stuff like that. Like, what is it about reality TV that would attract a Wendy to this? Because I do believe she's above it.
Yeah, I think Wendy wants to. I think she loves being a professor, but I think Wendy wants a more fun, creative life. And she's looking at the show as a way to she's trying to find an out where she can make her coin, but also step away from like the 9 to 5 rigors of being a professor, doing CNN, doing Fox News. I think honestly, and again, this just might be me. Let me know what y'all think. I think that was the producers shading Wendy at the end when they said it's not associated. I think Wendy was very clear saying, if I come on, you can't intermingle me with Johns Hopkins, blah, blah, blah. Because what they put at the end made no sense. It just seemed like the producers were being shady.
I can see Johns Hopkins doing that, being that Wendy was involved in an altercation and she was saying like she was with it. I can see Johns Hopkins sending a statement, that they're not involved, with the Real Housewives of Potomac. I think that was a real statement. And I also think Wendy, as far as her doing reality TV, when she's a professor, she has a strong academic background. I do think it's an identity issue, like you were saying, like with her career, she's looking for something different, something more fun. But then it also has to be big. You know what I mean? Because she has to impress her mother. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think that's why she's attracted to reality TV.
And by the way, real quick, you guys, thank you so much, DJ Richie Sky, for your super chat as well. Listen, we love your channel. We're part of the Sky Squad, so thank you so much for tuning in and supporting us as well. You guys, what happened a little bit later? So Karen sits down with Wendy at some point, and they talk a little bit about what's going on with that whole Charisse situation. And Wendy basically just says that Robin is trying to bring Charisse in to deflect from her own misery. Now, I'm kind of curious. Does Karen know something a little bit more than that fake engagement? Like, what do you think that she was alluding to?
When she said misery?
Yeah.
I think she can see it for what it is. I think she can see that it's not like a happy relationship between Robin and Juan. Like, it looks miserable. So I think Karen sees it for what it is.
Would you say the same?
Yeah, I think Robin's actions this season, every season, are not the actions of a woman that's living her best life in love, back with her honey. And honestly, and when I was watching this, the way Robin's so aggressive, I feel like I saw this in college with a lot of people. Robin was just diagnosed with ADHD. I feel like Robin is suffering from Adderall rage because I think Adderall messes with your adrenal gland and it puts you in fight or flight. Robin is what? An Aries. Her fight or flight is clearly fight. She sits on ready from the time you walk in the door. I definitely think Robin can't be happy because it's like you have too much hostility. You're waiting to get that. You can't get over the fact that Wendy bested you, and you keep wanting to humble her because you think Wendy shouldn't be above you. And yeah, that's not a happy woman. It's not a happy woman.
She's almost my birthday twin.
Is
like
she?
her birthday is the day before mine. So we have like, I believe the same sun sign, the same moon sign, like everything is similar. So a very small part of me gets Robin, but at the same time, like she's so aggressive. She's so masculine. Like it's so much about her that I don't get.
Since you guys are star buddies, then what do you think? What can you see a rational reason for why she's acting like this?
Yeah.
Well, this I can't understand. Her relationship, I can understand wanting comfortability in a relationship, like being with the same person that you've been with since high school, like 10, 20 years. That's the part I understand. The way she acts in this circle, I mean, it could be a comfortability with Giselle in that relationship. Like she's just trying to stay on the show and stay on Giselle's good side, so she does what she has to do. Maybe that's it. That's the only logic I can kind of like squeeze out of it because I'm so like disgusted by it.
It's gotten bad. It really feels like there's something pushing her. And again, I think it's the threat of being fired. I think the producers came to her and they said, Robin, enough. Like you have to deliver this season or you're out the door. And I think that's kind of forced her to really go above and beyond. And it's been a bit difficult to watch. You know, one thing that's kind of odd about that is that Giselle, we know that her spot is safe, but I feel like even she has kicked things up a notch this season. Like there was this confessional that she did where she talked about how she knows Peter Thomas, and Peter said that Wendy did a bunch of stalking to kind of like get in touch with him about the restaurant, but he doesn't believe in it. He's just humoring her. And I really wanted to know how you felt about that. Like, what does he mean he's humoring her? They had a full-blown meeting and everything.
That was a lie, right? Because Peter said there was a I don't know if you saw the caption. Peter was like, even though Wendy said she's not going to do it, he was like, I'm gonna still do it without her. So Giselle must have been lying. Y'all know how Giselle lies. She exaggerates. She misunderstands. So I think that was another lie.
Well, I think so too. And it felt like a mean girl lie because the way the three of them were standing out there laughing at Wendy and her ambitions, I was like, it feels really mean. What did you think, Tisa?
So you guys make a point. It might have been lying. The only thing was, I took Giselle's comments as, who would ever do business with Peter Thomas, first of all? Like, didn't you see what he did to Cynthia? But I feel like the way Peter said, she come to my town and my restaurant. I was like, you are not Kodak Black or Young Miami. Like, what you mean, like, coming to my town and my thing? Like, you run Miami. It made me feel like, think about what Giselle's comments were. She said, Peter said she came with this ludicrous idea and she was just humoring her. But Mr. Humoring also said, I want $250,000, right? Give or take. And here's a contract. And when Wendy said, all right, cool for the lease, let's do a walkthrough of the site, Peter just drifted into the woods, right? He went away. It made me think that Peter pretty much admitted that he was planning on conning Wendy out of her money, taking it, using it for whatever. He said, I want $250,000 and you can't have any say in what happens in the day-to-day operations. But then you laugh at it with saying, oh, I'm just humoring her. This is a dumb idea. You pretty much admitted that if this conversation is true, Peter was thinking of conning Wendy out of her money and had no intentions of trying to make a successful restaurant. I said, this makes Peter look bad because you're gossiping about business partners. I would never engage in business if I know you're talking about me too. You told me you're conning her. And 3, Giselle's, I don't know. I wanted to ask you guys because I thought it was like really weird. Why is it in Potomac? And I realized Bravo universes collide. Why is everybody acting like Peter Thomas is this whiz kid businessman when he is like a failed businessman as far as I know?
Thank you. I wondered the same thing, especially the way that Mia goes, Peter Thomas has beef with you. I was like, well, who is Peter Thomas? Like, what? They act like he was so important. And even Giselle earlier, when she scoffed, like, Peter Thomas wants to do business with you. Again, Peter Thomas, like, what? Oh my God. Did you get that vibe as well, Lailah, that they kind of put him on this high pedestal that like other cities don't believe in at all?
I did, but I feel like his most recent ventures, like the bar ones, like Charlotte, like recently, I feel like he's been successful. So it
Mhm.
might be because of that. You know what I mean? But I feel like that about anybody. Like when you say, well, who is Peter Thomas? I
Yeah.
feel like that about like everybody. Like, well, who is that person? You know, for me to care.
Yes.
Like, that's just my thought in general.
Yeah, 1,000%. Like they were giving like hardcore, like kind of like, I don't know if they're hyping him up just to spite Wendy. I kind of felt like it was more like that. Like I feel like they know that he's not all that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, Now, you guys, we kind of talked about this a little bit earlier. The low-key little digs that Mia has been throwing at Jacqueline, like speaking really loudly about the fact that she doesn't have deodorant of her own or whatnot, or how she kind of, what did they say? That she uses her husband's razor, the razor that the husband uses on his balls. Well, in the car, flip-flopping Mia tells Karen that she understands why she doesn't F with Charisse. And her friend only said, "Oh," and she just cut her off and she said, "I'm not talking to you." And Jacqueline asked her why she was being so nasty to her. So I think we're slowly starting to see like the destruction of the friendship. I'm curious, do you guys think we're going to see the full blow up, the final fight that led to her posting that video of Jacqueline and her husband?
I do. I do. And I do think this is the start because you can see Jacqueline, like Jacqueline told her she's too big to be fighting. Like you can see Jacqueline is not taking her side, even though they're friends. Jacqueline is not siding with her. And I do think this is the beginning that we're seeing the beginning of the end for their friendship.
Mm.
Yeah.
It's sad to see that reality TV can kind of like end a relationship of 20 years, not even a friendship, but like a sisterhood. Like Mia was she was her foster sister, you know, her mom's foster daughter and everything. It was a
Really?
lot.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
they
didn't know
mentioned it
that.
last week. Her mom took her in. They mentioned it last week. And so it's especially shocking that it went down this way with that kind of a relationship. Guys, we've got more super chats coming in. Thank you all so much for your support of the channel. I also want to mention Lailah Lynn and Tisa Tells have really incredible YouTube channels where they talk about pop culture, reality TV, you know it. And these two are the investigative deep divers of YouTube as well. So if you want really like deep dives and like hardcore info, make sure to subscribe to them. I've got links to their channels in the description box down below. Also, we have to congratulate Tisa on passing 100,000
Oh,
subscribers.
thank you.
Congrats, Tisa. So, Mims, thank you for your super chat. He says, beautiful and insightful panel today. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Mims also has an incredible YouTube channel where he talks about pop culture reality TV. So definitely make sure to check him out as well. Thank you, AJ30. AJ says, I hope Candace and Wendy light Giselle and Robin up while their husbands stand behind them nodding and grinning. And I will be so glad that Juan Dixon isn't there to back Robin. Speaking of that, do you guys think that Juan Dixon is going to show up to the reunion and sit behind Robin this year? Well, why
No.
not?
Especially with those allegations, you know, with that whole situation, that legal situation he's involved in.
Yeah.
I don't think Juan wants any parts of the Real Housewives of Potomac. I don't think so.
That's a good point. That's a really good point. Is that what you're thinking as well, Tisa?
First of all, Juan was busy playing patty cake with Michael last year. He wouldn't join that reunion. I know for a fact with these allegations, please, you couldn't pay me. We'll be lucky if Robin shows up for the reunion, as deep as those allegations are. So I 100% believe that he will skip. But it's interesting to see because they don't value Robin the same way that they value Ashley or anything else, or even Michael Darby, who, even though he'll probably not want to show up, I wonder what that will mean for Robin's contract if he really does pull a thing up. I'm not showing up.
Yeah, I hope she's done at this point. She's long overdue. Yeah. Now, Mims left another super chat. Thank you so much. She says, Wendy needs to bring up every Hugh Epstein episode. And this is in reference to Wendy laughing about her business. And I think that's true, right? Like, come on now.
Yes, the liquidation of everything beauty does need to be brought up at every chance. Yeah, I agree with that.
And speaking of liquidation, the ladies in the other car talk about how they would never pass gas or hoop or anything like that in their marriages or in their relationship. It was only Charisse who said this, actually. And Robin admitted that she walks around naked in front of her 14-year-old sons. And I wanted to know how you guys and everybody in the chat felt about that conversation. Let's start with you, Lailah. You're married.
I almost feel like I want to say they're all men. Like when it comes to Robin and her household,
Yeah.
this is what I mean when I say she comes off as very masculine to me. Like I feel like she kind of blends in with the three other males in her household. So I
Hmm.
feel like I wasn't surprised she said it. I'll put it that way. But me as a mother, haven't done that. Like when my kids were like little, like newborns, I used to have to take them in the shower with me and stuff like that, just to
Hmm.
keep them calm.
Yeah.
But I haven't done that since they were probably like a couple months old. You know what I mean? Ever since they've been able to like, quiet themselves and stay calm,
Hmm.
I haven't had to do that.
Mm.
And I don't know. I'm not gonna judge it because I don't think it's anything. I don't want to teach my kids any shame about their body at the same
Yeah.
time. So I'm not gonna judge it, but it's just not what I do.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like 14 is a bit much. And it's not even like
Yeah.
whether or not the kids will look at her sexually. It's just, it feels odd at that age. What do you think, Tisa?
I mean, honestly, some people are naked parents and some people are not. I'll be honest with you. I don't think
Mhm.
there's anything wrong with it. Not that I do it. It's just the fact that I would hope from like the male members of my family that the only thing not stopping them from, I hope the only thing not stopping them from looking at our mother as a sexual creature are her clothes. You know what I'm saying? At the end of
Yeah,
the day, I
exactly.
think it might be like, ew, gross. Like, ew, nobody wants to see your parents. Like, you guys are yucky, but not
Yeah,
because it's inappropriate because men are around.
exactly.
Like, yeah, her boys aren't thinking about her like that. And some people are just naked people. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? They just don't wear clothes around their children, around whatever. So I definitely don't think there's anything wrong with it. But
Hmm.
I did think it was weird when it's like, why? Like all this stuff. First of all, can we give a shout out to the fact that Giselle finally got one cute outfit? That white bodysuit and the zebra pants. I said, look at you, Giselle. You probably go like she's gonna wear it till 2032 when it's out of style again. But right now, listen, Giselle, you look super, super cute. But that whole conversation was weird to me too. It's like in the
Yeah.
whole conversation, I'm like, this is the best y'all got to do when y'all are not picking on Wendy or Candace. This is the riveting conversation that's keeping us glued to the screen. It was just weird.
Yeah. But you know what? This was one of the lighter conversations that they had because, as usual, they had to go back and take things too far. We get into the conversation about Chris yet again. And now we flash back to Giselle telling Robin that she heard that Chris was propositioning a woman at the bar, feeling up her butt. Here comes Mia the liar talking about he's sliding his leg up her butt and stuff. And it's a bit much, in my opinion, especially when it turned out that they were engaging in a failed game of telephone. They were claiming that all of this was stuff that Ashley said, and Ashley said, no, all I said was he leaned on the bar like this. At this point, what do you think about the allegations? Are they doing this on purpose, or it's a lot?
I feel like that's what happens. Like when you make allegations about people, like it does turn into a game of telephone. And so that's the
Mhm.
risk Giselle took knowingly. Like I think we all know this is what happens. And Giselle took that risk. And so it's an expected outcome. So I'm
Mhm.
not surprised to see it, but it's crazy like to watch people lie. Like you said, Giselle saying that he slided his leg up her butt. Like
Yeah,
what is going on here? What is going on?
it's
It's crazy to watch.
horrible. Yeah. I don't know if you guys saw, and I should have grabbed the tweet, but Chris said that he was not going to sue them for defamation or whatever it would have been, because he's not a litigious person, but he definitely was quite disgusted to see them continue to drive this lie into the ground. Tisa, if it were you, if you were Chris and these rumors were being purposely put out against you, what would you do? Out of curiosity, should he sue?
Here's the thing. I think that Chris is walking around Candace's contract. I think there's certain things you can sue for and certain things you can't. And these
Mhm.
storylines, if they do acknowledge that they know it's a producer-driven storyline, I think they're very limited to if suing for defamation. Because at the end of the day, this is reality TV. It is scripted television, and that would, I'm guessing, be in some violation of Candace's. Because you have to keep the fourth wall up. Candace's
Mhm.
what do you call it, the contract. So I
Yeah.
think the reason he decided he's not suing defamation is the fact that the suit can only go so far and it jeopardizes. I think though, honestly, I think the reason he said that he's not going to take it further, even as far as blasting them, is like you guys said, we're sitting there week after week seeing them play themselves. This is why Ashley is always like, I'm not going to drink today. When Ashley drinks, she has problems keeping her lies straight. She's always like literally sitting there like, who said that? Oh no, I didn't say he slid up the leg. I said he leaned in. It's so laughable, and they look so pathetic that they took the plot between Monique and Chris Strucktel Samuels. They took that plot and they applied it to now Chris and Candace Dillard. It's just, again, like at this point, do you need to even prove they're lying when they're making themselves look bad?
Well, that's the thing. I feel like if you're lying about something innocuous, whatever, but to really try and paint this husband and father as some kind of a predator, I do believe it's shameful, especially on Giselle's part as a former first lady. I honestly, I'm quite stunned by her behavior here, you guys. So sorry, real quick. What was that?
She just seems like a monster of a first lady. Like, I've never been to a church where the first lady was anything like her. Like, I've never seen it.
I swear. I honestly wonder if she was always like this or if all of the hurt from Jamal turned her into this. I'm willing to bet, though, that she was always like this. They said she was like this in university, right?
Yeah, but you know what? That's a good point, because when you think about it, the fact that in her mind, all men cheat if given the opportunity. So she just knew this lie was going to go over. She really has not met relationships where it's like, girl, he's not cheating on me. Like, maybe I got to yell at him about being on time or picking up clothes, but he's not cheating on me. It boggles her mind that people aren't buying it. So maybe you're right. It is all the hurt she's been through that she's like,
Yeah. It's quite sad. I feel that way about her, Robin, and now Ashley. Ashley's kind of been like indoctrinated into the bitterness with them, and like, you know, looking at her husband, it's not hard to see why. Now, next up, you guys, Robin really gets into it at this point, like jumping in when Wendy calls out Charisse for trying to deflect using her instead of speaking directly to Karen. So first of all, she tells Mia, listen, don't let Wendy twist your words. Don't let people twist your words. And then she goes, well, Charisse is not theatrical. She had 0 bathrooms. I just kind of felt bad for her almost, because it just, every time you see her, she's kind of like embarrassing herself on the screen a little bit. You guys feel that way? Like
Robin or Charisse?
Poor thing. Yeah, when she was like, Mia, don't let her twist your words. And then it turned out that Mia really did say that she sees why Karen doesn't F with Charisse. It's a lot, you guys.
The Robin thing is, it's like she's Wile E. Coyote and Wendy is the road runner. To see someone desperate, and I do in my heart of hearts believe part of the reason she wants to see Wendy humbled so much is because Robin is the colorist. And Robin and Giselle, their whole lives have been told they're light skin, they're light eyes, they're thick legs, all that stuff was going to guarantee them that they're going to be at the top of the patriarchy heap. And they picked mates that did not honor them. And in a weird way, they look at somebody like Wendy, that they've been raised by the men and women in their life to believe that they deserve more than Wendy. They deserve better jobs, cuter kids, better husbands, more opportunities. And now that they're down hard 40s, right? They're sitting there and they are taking, instead of taking their anger out on Ron or Jamal, they're taking it out on Wendy, because Wendy needs to be humbled, because doesn't she know that they deserve more than her? It's really sad to see, but that's exactly what's going on. So when I see that, it's like, Robin, you're just taking out your failed life where everybody told you were supposed to be superior to women like Wendy, and she can't take it.
Yeah.
But that's just my opinion.
You know what I love? Honestly, it is so interesting. And I feel so impactful to hear this coming from a light-skinned, green-eyed woman. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like if I say anything like that, people will be like, oh, you're just hating because you're dark skinned or you're this or that. You know what I mean? So to hear it from Tisa, I definitely appreciate hearing it from her. And I think it's really incredible. What do you feel about that, Lailah? Would you agree that Robin is a colorist?
Yeah, I think she is. Her along with Giselle. Like, for me, this is how I look at it. Like, all of the ladies have conflict with each other. And some people try to, judge colorism on who they have conflict with. But I feel like they all have conflict. But when you look at who they forgive, like how they forgive Ashley, but don't forgive Candace, or how they forgive Mia, but don't forgive Wendy. When you look at who they give forgiveness to, it's the people that look like them. Yeah. And so from a just looking at the optics of it, it does look like colorism to me. And when you say that, Tisa, I mean, it does make sense that Wendy has what they were told they should have because of how they look. It does make sense.
Yeah, it's very wow. Honestly, it's a really incredible moment here. So I really love this conversation we're having. You guys, we did get another super chat. Thank you so much, Mia. Mia says, Lailah, I hate to hear that Robin's birthday is the day before ours. What a sad day for us. 3:30. Oh, you guys are crazy.
Why is my dad named Robert? That's my dad.
Oh, really? Oh my God. Now, you guys, honestly, Charisse versus Karen. I'm wondering, can you guys, both of you and everybody in the chat, please tell me how many times does Karen have to literally like sun Charisse until Charisse will stop coming around and embarrassing herself? Like, it was so effortless again.
You know what? I will give Karen props. Karen knows that Charisse, and I'm sure Charisse does know some of Karen's dirt. Karen knows that Charisse wants to meet and talk because she wants her moment to, like you said, spill everything and let things. And Karen is not new to this. She is true to this. She is doing everything she can. And Charisse will not get her moment. And Charisse doesn't know what to do. So I don't know. I throw it back to you guys. How many times are you going to let her embarrass her? Because at this point, when Charisse opens her mouth, I'm like, oh my God, I'm getting secondhand embarrassment. It's just sad. And it's weird because she's trying to play this sophisticated, I'm above it, but you're the messiest person there. It's just such a weird thing. Like, Charisse, stop.
Yeah. Like how she's putting on this accent this season that she hasn't had in the past. Like it looks crazy. It looks crazy, and it's kind of like sticking out on the show. You know what I mean? Like you could tell she's not being herself. And I don't blame Karen for not giving her any energy. Like that's not the type of person you sit down and have lunch with. So I don't blame Karen.
I agree, honestly. And that's the thing that really bothers me with Charisse. It's like you guys said, she wants to be a certain way, and she should be. Her children play with the Obama children. Like they go to the same school, they play with them. But then when you see them, it's like Mia said, she just looks a mess, right? Like her eyeshadow is so tacky, her dress is tacky, her jewelry is tacky, her eyelashes falling off. Like it's just something, it does not mesh together into this persona that she wants to believe that she has. And so it doesn't look good together. And speaking of Giselle and Robin and whether or not they're colorist or whatever, do you guys remember their comments about James Harden and his beard? How he might have fried chicken, watermelon, and all that stuff in the beard? They're questionable women. They truly are.
Because people follow dark-skinned men, but the ones that deserve them are the ones that are successful. But the thing is, and this is why, whether it's racism, color, you can never feed into that mess because it only leads you down a road of your own destruction. Yes. You literally picked two of the worst mates, but you did it because of the superiority complex that you had grown up to believe. Especially, they grew up in the days of school days, where it's a sad, tragic tale. It's like when you fill your heart with hate or think you're superior to anyone for any reason, it always comes back to bite you because you surround yourself with people. But they deserve what they get at this point. Like,
absolutely. They've attracted it. Now, I've got a question for you guys because this is the debate of the night. It's whether or not Wendy should have warned. And by the way, Tisa, I think there's a click on your microphone. Or is it Lailah? I don't know. Someone's microphone's clicking. But there was this debate, and that's what kind of led into this whole fight. It's that Patricia was upset that Wendy did not hit him up to tell him that she's coming to Miami. Mia was really excited about this. She really wanted to get into the mix in this. And so I'm curious, should Wendy have told Peter, with all of their business dealings, that she was at least coming to Miami? Would that have been a useful thing to do?
No. Like we talked about, who is Peter Thomas? And why am I checking in with him? You know what I mean? Like, is he Jay Prince? Is he going to protect me from getting hurt? Like, why am I checking in with Peter Thomas? No. And I feel like my husband would be like, as soon as I get to Miami, if I call another man and say, well, I'm here, I landed, my husband would kind of be like, why are you calling him?
Exactly. Do you feel the same way, Tisa?
I thought that Mia Because that's the thing. Mia's such a liar. She just constructs narratives. Now, Peter Thomas was the first man to hold her daughter outside her father. Like, you just met Peter. But I agree completely with you, Lailah, and also with you, Grace. This is a business associate, and they're literally acting like Wendy should have been scheduling a date or was cheating on her man. Like, how come you didn't come? It was the weirdest narrative and storyline. And the scary thing about Potomac, the way that scene at the table made my mind go back to all the old seasons. Because before they gaslit, but you didn't know them. So you're like, oh, well, who's telling the truth? But now that you see everybody at the table nodding along that the sky is green, you're just like, you guys are like, it's scary, like Valley of the Dolls. Like, it's just scary to see a whole table gaslight. Even Ashley was just sitting there looking like, what in the world is going on?
Yes. Well, that's the thing. And it's like someone else said a little bit earlier, Black Intellect. Wendy did not go to Miami with the intention to do business with Peter. And she also did not know that they were going to eat up Bar One. Mia sprung that on her as a surprise to ambush her at the end of the day. So I would not, and like you said, Lailah, when you're in a relationship, why are you texting another man to tell him you're in town? It's just inappropriate. Yeah, I was team her on that. Now, here's another thing that was a little bit interesting. Mia's friend, and I wonder if this is payback for the way that Mia aired her out earlier about the toiletries and then about, be quiet, I'm not talking to you. But she was so excited to tell Ashley that she thinks that Mia is a bit much and that she doesn't know if she would be friends with Mia like in adulthood. She's like, we're friends because we were friends as children, but I don't know about now if I would be friends with her. What do you guys think about that? Was that like, I don't know.
You know what? We talked earlier how you were saying, their friendship ending and how it's sad to see their friendship end on reality TV. Yeah. But at the same time, I'm starting to feel like their friendship is toxic. So if you have a toxic friendship, you know what I mean? It may need to come to an end. So I'm kind of looking at it like maybe this needs to happen. That's kind of how I'm seeing it. Because it feels like it's a toxic friendship, like Mia trying to expose her and then Jacqueline, saying how she feels. It looks like it might be a toxic friendship.
Do you think it was always like that? Or is it just Mia acting up for TV or just Jacqueline acting up for TV?
My opinion is possibly that it's been long-term. If Jacqueline's mother had to foster Mia, sometimes when you have like foster children, there can be a bit of jealousy there. On either part, because sometimes the foster child might get more attention or the natural child might get more attention. So I feel like it could have been long-term. It could have been there like under the surface for decades.
Yeah, I agree with you. I feel like Mia also, which is scary, it shows to me the level of fakeness she is. Because here's the thing. I thought maybe they had, when I felt sorry for Jacqueline, because I feel like Mia was faking like they were closer more. And I feel like Mia has the ability to turn on like fakeness and turn it off when she wants. Because if it was kind of like you said, like not really a friendship or built a very toxic, when Mia was embarrassing her, Jacqueline would have came back at her harder. But Jacqueline was literally acting the way if somebody, your good friend is saying something to you, and it strikes you as a little off in that moment. But then when you think about it, you get upset about it. But you wouldn't assume that they're coming at you from a negative place. You would just be looking at them confused, like, why are you acting like that? Why are you putting my business out there? I feel like Jacqueline didn't even realize how much Mia was playing her. And to your question you asked a while ago, it just clicked in my head. Do I think they're going to show the fight? Absolutely, because Jacqueline is standing there with a champagne glass. So they got something out of her this season,
Ooh, all right. Well, I want to know more about that. And by the way, I agree with you, Brittany. Brittany says Mia probably felt inferior after she had to live with Jacqueline. So maybe this was her moment to say, look, who's like the top dog now? You know what I mean? Because that is one thing about Mia, her first season especially, all she would talk about is money. Like she'd never seen money a day in her life. So I would not put it past her. That is for sure. You guys, I pinned a poll in the chat, and it seems as though most of you don't feel like Wendy instigated the fight or antagonized Mia the way that Robin was trying to claim that she did. I agree with you. What position do you guys take, Lailah and Tisa? I'll start with you, Lailah.
I don't think she antagonized it. When Robin was saying that, I felt like it's not fair. Like I felt like Wendy was reacting. And I feel like sometimes, people aren't given a chance to react. Um, I'm sure Grace will be right back with us. We're having some technical issues this morning, but we're still coming through.
Sorry, y'all. My heating was making me sweat. But go ahead,
Oh
Lailah.
yeah, I'm sweating too. Y'all can probably tell. But yeah, so I forgot what we
Did
Instigating. Do you think
Wendy
Wendy-
instigate?
I don't think you can instigate something like that. I feel like it's reality TV. Like they're gonna, kind of drum up drama. But I don't think she instigated, Mia throwing a drink at her. And I don't want to put blame on her for Wendy for Mia throwing a drink at her. Because I don't think it was her fault. If you're going to be on reality TV, I feel like you should be able to handle your anger. And they say they do like all these psychology tests and things like that to make sure these people are stable. But obviously it's not working. You have, to me, Mia, I would consider unstable. You have people who are unstable coming on television and being physically violent to each other.
Absolutely. You know what? I don't believe that they monitor to see if people are stable before putting them on TV, because Mia, you can tell in one conversation something's off. Same with Mary Cosby from Housewives of Salt Lake City. I don't think a single person who has ever had a conversation with her would go, yeah, like she's got all her marbles. I don't think so. Sorry, Tisa, you're on mute, girl.
No, I was going to say, I agree with you, Grace, but I love Mary. She's that delightful type of zany, like, just like, she's like in her own little world, wonderland, don't bother anyone, but will read someone down. Mia, like you said, though, you can have a conversation with her and be like, there's something really, really like weird. I do think it was so interesting the way they kept switching the rules mid-game. First, when Mia was dragging her, use your words. Wendy used her words.
Yeah.
Mia threw a drink at her. But that's the only thing worse she could have done was spit on her. That's the next thing. Somebody throwing like a drink on you, something at you, or spitting on you. That's the closest you can come to killing somebody without putting your hands on them. Like that is number one. Like it is on. You cannot ignore that. So, but then it's like, oh, well, so she threw a drink. Then Wendy used the words, how dare you use your words? Robin, and the look of sheer delight on Robin's face when she thought Wendy was about to get humiliated and pulling out that phone, and everybody trying to bully Wendy to shut up, sit there, and let her be disrespected. It was ridiculous. I'll give it to Wendy, though. Wendy handled that like a G, because you had a whole table gaslighting you, yelling at you, insulting you, tag teaming you, drinks still in your hair. But like she said, she got that wet and wavy, so she was good. You had all those things against you, and you still somehow found a way to keep your cool, read her to filth. And at the end of it, you literally, and look at the CEO, look at it, had Mia in tears. And then when everybody like embraced her in a sisterhood, Mia, we're going to stay with you. I said, y'all ain't seeing heaven. It was just so crazy to me.
Seeing heaven. Well, that's the thing. Someone up the stream mentioned it earlier that they cried watching it. I did not cry, but I felt Wendy's frustration, because watching that scene, to me, nothing Wendy said warranted the drink in her face, because all she told Mia was that she did not want to contact Peter Thomas because he's not her husband, number one. And number two, she was not in Miami to do business with him. So she said, Mia, maybe that's how you get down in your marriage, but that's not how I get down in mine. And then she gets a drink to the face. And what happens? Bully 1 and bully 2 called her antagonistic. And I was like, oh, are you kidding me? And then she pulls out her phone. It was just so shocking that they would treat her this way and that they would do that to her. Like, it was really hurtful. I felt like the camera in the phone was more antagonistic than anything that they can claim Wendy did. Like, that's really, really low down.
Yeah, I thought so too. And it kind of reminded me of what Kim Pryor was saying last week about seeing Wendy get hit with the purse. It's kind of like emotional, like seeing somebody get hit in their back like that. So I could see how somebody could be crying. It could be triggering watching, something like this happen, like watching the gaslighting and everything and the physical assault. I can see how it can be very triggering, and I can see how it can make somebody cry watching it. And that's why I said I'm almost over this show. Like
It's interesting the way they keep finding excuses, because here's the thing that I think Wendy was so good at pointing out. When Candace came into the scene, I love Candace. I'm a Candace apologist. She was young. She was a little spitfire. She was giving it as good as she got. Now we realize all those reads she was doing, the girls deserved, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I will say this. Candace did a lot of things wrong. And you can see from this, when I say wrong, I mean, she let them get under her skin. She was triggered too much. She came to maybe killed a fly with a sledgehammer. At least that's what editing made us think. But she's evolved. And even now, and I love this season, Candace, she now knows how to play the game. Wendy's different. And they use the reason they treated Candace so bad. It's not colorism. It's just the way Candace acts. But Wendy's a different case, because Wendy came in doing everything right. And she's been pure class. She doesn't even raise her voice barely. She keeps them at their own game. And yet Wendy is getting the same names, the same treatment, the same antagonism. It's disgusting to watch. And I feel you guys when it's like, I wasn't brought to tears, because when I get mad, I want to swing on someone. It's not that it brought me to tears. It just made me feel with so much indignation. And now that I'm looking at everybody defending and making excuses, so are you the colorist in the situation too? Is that why you're making excuses? Why do you refuse to see something that was black and white with me with Candace, but now this is red, black, and white, and it's circled in orange. I do want to say one thing about Robin. Remember when Robin was taping her? And Robin had on that little orange, fluffy, ruffled concoction, but was doing the most manly mannerism sitting there. It looked like Juan Dixon in a Kintiera dress. Robin, close your legs, act a little bit more feminine. Even when she was filming and she had her arm leaned up on Giselle. And I was like, Robin don't need to wear any fluffy, girly clothes. You're not the gentle princess, Robin. Come on. I just think it's funny.
Yeah, she's taken on a very masculine persona. You know what I mean? It's very clear, and I hate to see it. I hate to see it. I hate it watching this. But like you said, Karen doing the Matrix. I always love to see Karen's reactions, even with the other altercation with Candace and Monique, and Karen runs in and grabs her purse. I always love to see how Karen reacts. So
this time, she kept singing happy birthday to herself. And she's like, it's my birthday. I'm confused. Did someone touch me? I love me some Karen. Listen, you guys, I want to ask a question. I'm scared. I'm shaking because I feel like I'm going to get dragged. But you guys already know how I felt about the first part of the fight. I felt like Mia antagonized Wendy from the beginning. She was having too much fun about Peter gossiping about Wendy and everything, and she just took things too far. But in the second half of their drama, do you feel like Wendy kind of might have been egging things on a little bit? Do you want another drink? Look at the CEO. She gets up and kind of towers over me a little bit. I let you slide with the drink. Try me again. And then she shoved the security guard and touched Karen's shoulder, trying to get to Mia. I'm sorry, guys. I have to ask. How do you feel about part 2? Did you feel like she was a little... I felt like it was adrenaline. So I want to give her a pass, but at the same time, I'm like, girl, when you're asking someone who just got violent to you, if they're going to do it again, you should learn from your friend Candace.
Hell no. She's sitting there with alcohol in her hair. As she's sitting there, she's smelling the disrespect on her. She feels, and her face got wet too.
Yeah.
You are then sitting there across from 2 people and egging her on and telling me to throw another drink on her. Let me tell you something. I give it to Wendy, because I think, when I was younger, much younger, right? In high school, I'll throw my book bag down in a second. But as you get older, you're like, no, you got to use your words. There are certain things that just cross the line. Somebody throwing a drink at you while you're being filmed, antagonized, disrespected. And Mia got up in her face plenty of times. And let's not forget that they were actually splicing it, right? And I find it odd that they kept letting Mia go on and on and on because they wanted to. Wendy stood up. Wendy tried to push through, but Mia kept doing that too. I mean, if that's what we're doing, again, a fight did not break out, but I do not think when somebody pushes you to that edge when you're in a closed thing. And at the end of the day, Mia lost, because at the end of the day, Mia's the one that left in tears, crying, saying she can't believe this. Because Wendy is so smart and she knows how to push Wendy's buttons. And when she kept saying, look at the CEO, look at the CEO, look at the CEO, that pushed every button. And I said, good for you. Push those buttons, send her home in tears.
Yeah.
So I don't blame her at all. The amount of restraint she showed after all that mess happened, all that mess. It's like, Wendy,
That's the thing. I felt like she had her adrenaline. I imagined that she was shaking. Like, when you get so angry, you're shaking. I felt like she was in that state where she kind of snapped. How did you feel about part 2 of that altercation, Lailah?
Well, I still hold true. I'm going to say that Wendy was reacting.
Yeah.
And you know how you were saying earlier, Tisa, like if someone spits on you, like it's an ultimate disrespect. I feel like Wendy was disrespected. And I feel like if it was me, like if someone threw a drink at me, I do want to fight you now. Like, let's be honest. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Like, I want to fight you now. You threw a drink on me and I do want to fight you. Like, forget the cameras, forget everything. I want to fight you. But it's still a reaction. I wouldn't want to fight you if you hadn't have assaulted me first. So I give Wendy a pass on that. I do feel like she was, I feel like she wanted to fight, but I give her a pass because I felt like Mia had already assaulted her. She assaulted her twice.
Yes.
Once with her drink and then the other time with her pocketbook. But I also blame production because I feel like they were trying to get a scene. And to me, a drink being thrown, whether it landed in the hair or on the face, is an assault. And I feel like when there's an assault, you need to separate people. And the fact that they kept bringing them both back to the table, I was like, this is terrible. Like production, like we've been here before with Monique and Candace, like you guys know better. And to keep bringing them back to the table, I felt like was awful. I felt like it was like them being like bloodthirsty. Like they wanted a scene. They wanted something to happen. And finally it did. Finally, Mia did hit her with her purse. They got what they wanted. And I just felt like that was terrible on the part of production. Like these people are having natural reactions, but what production is doing is terrible.
It is.
That's the thing. They like to pretend, right? They sit on that soapbox. They say that they do not condone violence or anything like that. But you even saw the promos they were cutting. They did all sorts of fancy, like, the Matrix, and then there was the alligator. They did a lot of fancy editing around the violence to hype it up, right? So it feels very fake and it feels very performative in that respect. You guys, we've got a lot of super chats coming in. Thank you all so much. I've been letting them kind of pile up. I'm like, we're so into this. We're so good. But thank you guys so much. Sorry about the delay. So Zoe is a channel member. Thank you, Zoe. She says, I think TV is just showing how toxic the friendship is and shadowing the breakup. That is in reference to Mia and her friend Jacqueline. Forever D. Joe says, Peter is full of SHIT. B1 is a chain. Wendy doesn't have to call every time she enters a city with a B1 when there's one at home. Bar 1 is tucked under a bridge on the bay off the South Beach Street. He needed her money. I swear, you guys crack me up. Lauren, thank you so much. Lauren says, Robin isn't colorist. That white woman is racist. This is in reference to Robin dropping her, what is that called? 23andMe or something like that. And it turned out she's 39% Black. So Goddess Isis says, y'all hot in that beach house with Mia. Y'all hot like you. Yes, I forgot I left my heater on and I'm wearing a blazer. I have to run and turn it off. This Cat Rock says the bullies colluded this season to bully and ice out Wendy and Candace to get Charisse a full time spot. That's the thing. They're so pressed about Charisse and it's not working. We don't want Charisse back. She's not compelling in any, any sense of the word. Angelique says, not a Wendy or Candace super fan, but they're not wrong. It's so upsetting to see these beautiful Black women keep attacking physically. Karen stays grand dame with that Matrix move. I do, by the way, we're over 600 people in here. Please make sure you like this stream so that we continue to show up in your algorithm. Myself, Lailah, and Tisa. Lailah and Tisa also have incredible YouTube channels where they talk about pop culture, reality TV, everything that you guys are all interested in, all you love, recaps, you name it. I've got links to their channels in the description box down below. So please make sure to support their channels as well, to thank them for showing up over here to talk about the episode with us. Now, I'm quite curious, you guys, why did the Green-Eyed Bandits try to turn this into a Karen problem? Like, did you guys notice that Robin and Giselle started instigating about Karen, telling both her friends that they were in the wrong? Why would it be a Karen problem instigating or riding the fence when Robin had her phone out and she was trolling the entire situation and egging Wendy on to physically fight. Tisa, tell me.
I mean, I'll be honest with you, and this is the thing that sickened me. It's like that was a vortex of so many bad things: colorism, bullying, gaslight. It was just a vortex, and I'm like, oh my God! And like you said, the scene should have been stopped, but they literally. Because when you think about it, they've always done this, but with Wendy, for some reason, it's so startling. Because there's too heavy-handed about that. And I think they thought they had producers in their pocket and it would be cut up and screwed to make them look not as antagonistic. I think they really expected everybody to sit there and let Mia sharpen her knives and go in on Wendy. That was always the thing. And that's why they were telling Karen to stay out of it, because the goal was for Wendy to be on an island by herself and be attacked. And let's not forget, they thought they were on a time limit because Candace wasn't there. And they know Candace with that mouth combined with Wendy would have like wrapped them up in a bow and sent them off. So they thought they were on a time limit and let's get Wendy. And I agree with you completely. Now that you say it, they thought they were going to take her out of character. And Wendy, after that drink and all that stuff, was going to maybe put her hands on them. So yeah, they were hoping for the worst.
So Lailah, with that being said, if they managed to get Wendy to become physical with Mia, would they have treated Wendy any differently? Would they have gone to check up on her, treated her like the victim?
Oh my God. I can't believe you even asking me that. Okay. Race Report is in reporter mode.
Yes, I am.
Okay.
I gotta ask the questions.
Yeah, okay. You asking the questions, right? No, I don't think they would treat Wendy at all. Like the compassion they had for Mia, almost basically telling her it wasn't her fault. Like they know Wendy is antagonizing and basically taking her side. I don't think they would do that for Wendy at all. Like they actively dislike Wendy. So I don't think they ever see her point of view. I don't think they ever see her side. I don't think they would ever give Wendy the same compassion that they give to Mia, that they give to Ashley. I don't think they would ever do that. No.
And they probably, knowing how evil they are.
Yeah.
I think that if Wendy had reacted even an ounce of what they wanted, like if she had picked something up and thrown it, just anything, I can see them going on especially Mia, going on a Twitter, Instagram campaign to probably even get her fired from her day job. You know, it's like they are so jealous of her because she has the life that they were promised. They are so jealous of her. I can see them trying to destroy everything. They tried it with the Eddie cheating. Now it's Wendy's broke, even though she got more jobs than all of them. Then it's a candle set. You know, it's just, Producer,
what do y'all think about this? Like, I was watching this documentary. I love to fall asleep to documentaries, right? And so I was watching this documentary on Alpha Kappa Alpha the other night. And it was like so impressive, all the things that sorority has done, like in this country and even internationally, and the sisterhood they have. And to see their sorors like Giselle and Wendy, to see them go at each other like that when they're supposed to literally be sisters, they're sorors. What do y'all think about that? I've never seen anything like that. I've never seen it.
People are going to get mad at this. And I'm probably going to get dragged, but I get dragged all the time. So who cares? Let's just say it. Let me tell you something. That AKA mess. And I remember when I was in my freshman. No, listen, hear me out. Not mess to the I'm not disrespecting AKAs. Please don't send the hive on me. Not that. I mean, like, what's going on with Giselle? I do remember, not all, and thankfully it is fading. But I do remember when I was in my freshman year, there was a whole thing that they only wanted girls with light eyes and certain complexion actually pledging. They were actually looking through. And I'm not going to say that sorority, but as Black people, we have to acknowledge our history. And there has been the paper bag brigade. And Giselle is from that time where, in certain people that were in power in that sorority, not just that, but all sororities wanted a certain look. So just because they're soror sisters doesn't mean that Giselle looks at her as a sister. And Giselle can even look at her and be like, you're one of the people that shouldn't have got through. I'm not saying that's what Giselle's saying. And I know AKAs as a whole does not have a problem, but there was a certain time where they wanted a certain look, and everybody else had to be exceptional to get in when you fit it. So when they're like, oh, where's your sisterhood? I think Giselle's on the school day side of the AKAs. And again, it's a problem of all sororities, but y'all get what I'm saying, okay? So I love AKAs. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that I think Giselle is part of that old guard that thankfully does not have any power and was moved out over the years. So yeah.
You know what? I have to watch this School Days movie because I have not seen it. Go ahead, Lailah.
Now I was just gonna say, like my freshman year, I went to Hampton University where Giselle went. And as far as the sororities on campus at that time, it was basically a scandal. Like basically, I'm not going to get into it too much. But it was a scandal. And the relationships you see, like the relationship you see between Robin and Giselle, even though, they're not in the same sorority, like it doesn't surprise me. Like the way people, put one person at the top of the totem pole and the next person has to kind of like bow down to them, even sometimes if it's in a sexual way, like it doesn't surprise me at all.
Well, you know what? In speaking about the way that Wendy was antagonized, she was not the antagonizer. She was bullied by Mia, by Giselle, and by Robin as well. And then with the disclaimer, I really want to leave on this note. I don't want to keep you guys too long, but with the disclaimer and everything like that, do you guys feel as though it would be fair for Johns Hopkins University to sever ties with Wendy after all of that? Like, would it be a good look for them?
No, I don't think they would even. That's an employment lawsuit. No. They had to agree to let her go on the Real Housewives of Potomac. So the fact that she's on it, whatever. I'm sure there's a clause that she has to represent Johns Hopkins in a reasonable manner. The fact that the drink was thrown on her and the thing, if they fired her, that is a lawsuit. So you all saw me get bullied, assaulted, and all this stuff, and I get fired. So yeah, and again, Johns Hopkins. Here's the thing we're saying, and it just popped into my head. Sorry to interrupt, Grace. We're like, oh, maybe Johns Hopkins said something. If Johns Hopkins felt like saying something, they would issue. They have their own press office. They are number 7 in America. I really do think that was Bravo being shady. I really do think that was producers being shady because Johns Hopkins would issue a tweet, Instagram. They would be like, in light of last night's disturbing events, we want you to know we don't stand for violence. They're sitting up there on mute. So this is all Real Housewives of Potomac.
We'll have to check.
I want that figured out. I want that investigated because it felt very unfair that she was kind of being singled out in this way as if she did something wrong. You know what I mean? It kind of felt like she was being set up to be let go by Johns Hopkins. But again, I don't understand why, because she was the victim and she was later re-victimized by the other women at the table who excused it. And then again, by that statement. So it would really hurt my heart if she were blamed for all of this and let go at the end of the day for, being the victim of an assault, right? You guys, thank you all so much for being here. This has been an amazing stream. Major thank you to Lailah Lynn and Tisa Taus for being here. I got my friend Julie in the chat. I've been seeing her name is Brave FT here on YouTube. Shannon Van is also here. Thank you so much for being here. We did get some questions about where Kempire is. Listen, we replaced Dimples with other Dimples over here, okay? Kempire is on vacation, and Tisa was so kind to hop on the stream with us. So please make sure you support her channel, okay, you guys? I've got a link to her channel in the description box down below, in addition to Lailah Lynn's channel as well, okay? Again, thank you all so much for being here. Please make sure to like the stream on the way out. We'll see you again next week. Next week, we're on your channel, right, Lailah, or is it Kempire's channel?
No, it's going to be on my channel. As long as there's an episode this coming Sunday, will be on my channel.
Perfect. You got it, guys.
Thank you so much, ladies, for having me and inviting me. As you guys know, they are the illest and the realest. They're so welcoming. And I watch your recaps every single Monday. You guys had me dying and punching the air at the same time, which is the best kind of recap, So
I love it. I don't want to put you guys on the spot, but I'm now thinking Ultimate Girls Trip. I would love an Ultimate Girls panel.
Yes. That would be fantastic.
Yes.
And this Ultimate Girls channel, but also Ultimate Girls Trip recap.
Yes.
That's it. We're going to do it. Ultimate girl script, you guys. You heard it here first. Thank you guys. Take care. Bye.